I call myself the accidental artist. I have no prior education in art. I did not actually know that I could paint until January of 2020.
To see individuals like yourself grow from just having a spark of an interest in art to becoming someone who would step out and open a gallery.
If I had to pick something about Bold School that transformed my life, it's the mentorship.
Today I'm here at the Bold Artist Podcast with artist Elle McCarthy, who has been part of Bold School for a very long time, and we are all really thrilled to have you here on the show. Elle, welcome. We are just thrilled to have you because you are one of those heartwarming voices in our Bold School community, always there, always commenting, always being such an encouragement to your peers, and you've been in the school for a long time. Can you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and how you came into Bold School?
Well, I call myself the accidental artist because I have no prior education in art. I did not actually know that I could paint until January of 2020. And as many people in all over the world, when we got all locked up during the COVID pandemic, that's really when I started exploring what I could do with art. And in January of 2021, a year later, I started stumbling on the Facebook ads for Bold School. And I always wanted to be able to paint faces and portraits, but I just didn't know how. So when I saw Charla style and bold colors and all of the expressive portraits, that's really what I wanted to do. So I signed up.
And then the rest is history. That's amazing.
And the rest is history, totally.
And so had you considered yourself a creative individual before that?
No, not really. The limit to my creativity, I was in IT and finance for a long time, and I used to color code my spreadsheets.
Wow. Well, I have to say, though, that whole left brain, right brain activity, how one is logistical and one is known to be creative, I find personally they work together. So even though you were doing such a, step-by-step, very mathematical type of career, I know there's creativity in there. I know it takes creativity because look at you now. So somehow you had that in you all along. And then in 2020, during lockdown, you discovered Bold School. So that means that you would have started with Charla's Bold Color Boot Camp, and that's painting portraits in bold color. How did that change your life? What was that like for you?
Oh my gosh. Just learning, I have I never took a formal art class. And I don't know how to draw. I still don't know how to draw, by the way. For those of you who can't draw, there is hope because I cannot draw, but I learned how to grid, and that totally changed my life. So now by using gridding, I'm able to actually have some pretty good likeness, if I may say so myself.
Yes, your art has come so far in the time since you started with Bold School in 2020. I was online speaking to our Bold School mentors before this podcast, asking them if they had some questions for you, and all of them commented on your remarkable progress as an artist. And for those of you who are just tuning into the Bold Artist Podcast for maybe the first time, or you're not involved in our community right now, our Bold School offerings have not only classes, but we have a community where we mentor and help you grow as a wholehearted artist and in your skills. And so we have mentors who all have been along this journey with Elle, watching her begin as a newbie, as a rookie artist, and growing to the point that Elle has now been opening a gallery and holding your own art shows. Tell us about that, Elle.
Well, that's quite the adventure, actually. Last summer, I decided it was time for me to make a change. And I've been self-employed for a number of years, but my business really got killed by COVID. So I decided with the help of my husband that it was time for me to switch from one type of self-employment into a full-time art career. And my
Wow.
original thought was to do like a small art studio, community studio, to bring art to my community through, maybe some mentoring or maybe just opening, people's eyes to what the possibilities are with art. And I had no intention whatsoever of doing anything more than that. And when I got started, we so happened to have an empty office in the building. And we hadn't been able to rent it out. And so I told my husband, I said, would I be able to use that empty office as a small art gallery? And maybe, I can recruit 2-3 local artists and do little, community shows, nothing fancy or, formal. And so that's why we started last September. My first show had 6 local artists. And the show after that had 13, and then I ran out of room. So I'm actually sitting in my husband's conference room, and so I used that room as an overflow for the little one-room gallery. And lo and behold, in February of this year, one of our tenants downstairs retired, and so now I was able to take over the entire lower level of the building. The next show that I'm having next month has 26 artists and over 70 submissions. So there is such a pent-up demand and such a need in my community for brick and mortar galleries, because we really don't have any. This is not like a artsy community. And so that's I was sort of well, let's try this for a month or two, and it grew into a formal gallery, and with shows and calls for entries. And I have a jazz room behind it. I'm playing live jazz on artist reception Sundays. It's been fun.
Wow. I mean, what an incredible journey from not even considering yourself a creative person to taking bold color boot camp and learning bold color portraits to having a gallery and taking over the whole floor. It's incredible. But to paint that picture, to say where you are now is one thing. I know from personal experience how many little steps and tests of character and tests of persistence and resilience it really takes to get through what I just described, like going from zero to a gallery and shifting your business into a full-time art business. Can you give us an inside peek, Elle, into some of what you've gone through both personally and professionally to make these very courageous steps?
Well, I think my entire life story has been sort of the same pattern of making huge changes with just leaps of faith, right? I moved from Europe to the U.S. as a leap of faith. Every career that I've had, whether it was information technology or accounting, I started literally from the bottom and worked my way up by doing. And so what I like about art is the more you do, the better you get, right? And I've just been fortunate. My husband is my number one fan, and he's always been supportive of my artistic endeavors. He's just my number one fan. And so that has allowed me to explore, that has allowed me to change from, self-employment business to another type of business. And I get to paint every day because, I have that support. And it's, you have to be consistent, and you have to try and get into the studio every day, even if it's just to paint a little bit, or I don't sketch. That's just not my thing. But, I have to do a little bit of something every day on a consistent basis to grow, regardless of what field you're in.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. So did you face any fears with opening this gallery?
Not really. I think that my only fear is that the community will not eventually get there. It's one thing to have a bunch of enthusiastic artists who are willing to show their pieces on your wall. But if at the end of the day, if you don't sell the art, what good is it? So there's that aspect of being in a community that is doesn't really have an art life, and trying to connect with art buyers. And that's really the hard part for me.
Yes, you're breaking new ground and territory, pioneering art in your community. And I think that I should ask, where is this community? Where are you located?
Oh, that's a good point. So I'm in Rockaway, New Jersey, which is in northern New Jersey, northwestern New Jersey, Morris County.
Okay.
The Rockaway borough, where the gallery is actually, I think, about 9,000 people.
Okay.
It's really small.
So small. Because when I think of New Jersey and being so close in proximity to New York City, I think about culture and lots of art, and it's not the case. So you're
not in my little town. No.
Culture. Yeah. Yeah. So, Elle, can you tell us a little bit about your journey inside Bold School as a student? Because you took Charla's Bold Color Bootcamp, and then since that time, Bold School itself has evolved and grown, and we have lots of an abundance of classes in many different genres, and we've just introduced oils and landscapes. And we're always growing in the realm of classes, and you've been there from the beginning, and you're an incredible voice and encourager in our community. What has it been like for you to grow with Bold School?
Oh my goodness. I feel like a sponge. Literally, every time a new class shows up, I got to be one of the first ones that jumps on it. Just number one, because I do this full time, so I have the time. But it's just been such a tremendous blessing for somebody who has no art experience to be able to take these classes and learn. And because I don't know what I don't know, right? Mm-hmm. So whether it's, little tips and tricks like using a paper palette to create your strings, just every single class has taught me not just the valuable skills of developing as an artist, but the little minutiae and the little tips and tricks and tools that come along with that I had no idea about. And also the theory. I love the small, short classes where the instructor gives us the theory behind what they are, teaching, and then they demonstrate with a portrait at the end. And I just took Noemi's latest class, which I've never used oil, so I didn't really try with oil this first time, but I don't know landscapes. And I thought it was such a fun way to introduce somebody like me who has no clue on the whole concept and, the rules of thirds and all of that theory of composition that comes with it. It's just priceless. For me, it's priceless.
Yes. And it's been priceless to see you grow, truly, to see individuals like yourself grow from just having a spark of an interest in art to becoming someone who would step out and open a gallery and dedicate yourself full time to art. It is just priceless to us to watch you grow too. So it's win-win. And I was curious to know if you have a class inside of Bold School that was your all-time favorite. Like, we know that the start came from Bold Color Bootcamp, but besides Bold Color Bootcamp, which other class was pivotal for you?
I don't think it's a class. It's the mentorship. If I had to pick something about Bold School that transformed my life, aside from just the learning, it's the mentorship. I mean, the community is what I think is the blood of Bold School in terms of the life of it. Mm-hmm. You can take a class anywhere, but the follow through and the interaction with the mentors and their generosity of just giving of themselves and of their time, and their honesty about, our pieces, it's just priceless. And then the community itself of having peers who are going through the same growth, and being able to maybe help, and that's why I try to comment as much as I can. I'm not an expert, I'm not a mentor, but I know how the attention and the fact that a peer is looking at your art and taking the time to comment is what helped me when I started, and therefore I try to give back. You get out of Bold School as much as you put in, as far as I'm concerned. So it's a two-way street.
Just a quick note here in this podcast to ask you if you're ever frustrated mixing your paint colors. Do you feel like you just end up with mud and you need help? If that's the case, you're going to be thrilled to know that boldschool.com offers a learning path that's dedicated to color theory. It's called the Color Path, and it will transform your eye and skills as an artist to know, understand, and mix colors. Check it out on our website. Our classes and community are here to support you and mentor you, not only in growing your skills, but in becoming a wholehearted artist. Now, back to the show. Yeah, so that's a huge shout out to our mentors. We just thank you guys for being there for our community in the way that you are and guiding us all through our growth. And I think that you're so bang on there, Elle, with your answer, in the sense that growing as an artist, you can take classes are everywhere, but mentorship and that concentrated effort to see someone grow is so unique and so special to Bold School. And I have a friend who she has attended university for years, and she calls herself a keener because she always has to be in the front row and leaning forward and soaking it all in. And I would say that from observing your relationship in Bold School, you are our keener. You're right there, ready to learn, soaking it in, and always commenting and always involved. And so appreciate that about you. And I know that the community where you're growing your art business is going to appreciate that as well, the life that you bring to the art world. So what are you currently focused on, Elle? In the stage that you're at now, what are you currently focused on and growing? Are you working on a series? What's happening there?
I'm not really working on a project. I just actually finished a large project. I was working on a large 44 portrait commission, which I just ended last month. So I'm sort of decompressing from that stress. And Bold School publishes new classes so often that there's always an opportunity to recalibrate or try something new. I just finished this guy here, which was actually based on an old challenge, the mother color concept. And every now and then throughout the year, I like to take a subject or a reference photo that I did a year or two before and redo it in order to compare and evaluate my progress. So I had done Dali based on the same reference photo in February of 2022, and I decided, because I didn't really know what to focus on, I said, well, let me do one of my, I call them before and after. So, and it was fun to get the feedback from, the community and the mentors in terms of the evolution of, Elle's art and technique. And it's so, for me, it's so much fun to see how much progress and how much growth you can experience in just 1 year of Bold School classes.
Yeah, absolutely. The growth is outstanding. And so you mentioned a 44 portrait commission?
Mm-hmm.
And so tell me more. What is that?
Well, I was commissioned by the state's PBA to create memorial portraits of the police officers and first responders in New Jersey who passed away from COVID since 2020. And there were 44 submissions Fortunately or unfortunately, those were portraits that I couldn't do in bold style because they are always very focused on the uniform and the flag. And so that was a series of, realism portraits. And they are having a huge memorial service later this month, in a couple of weeks, for the families of those officers who passed away. And they will have all of those portraits, and they will be given to the families at the end of the service.
What a very special opportunity that is to honor those lives and then also to represent with art as an artist. And so you mentioned decompressing and the stress of taking on a commission like that. What has your life been like as an artist now, Elle, since kind of like you started just exploring and doing it as a hobby and as something that you're interested in, and now you've moved into the realm of taking commissions and operating a business? How do you find your creative flow and your creative juices keep going through that? Like, how do you refuel and balance commission work and creative work?
You definitely have to have balance, I think. And what I learned through this experience of doing so many of them was literally nonstop for 4 months. It took me 4 months to do those 44 portraits. And every few days, I had to go play, right? And I had to go paint something with bright colors and, and different subjects. Because painting commissions, when you can learn a little bit about your subject and, maybe meet the subject or talk to the family is one thing. But for that particular project, I had no contact whatsoever with the families. And so I really had to try and perceive and guess the spirit of the person I was painting through one single photograph, sometimes blurry, sometimes not well lit. And so the classes of Bold School and all of the techniques that I've been learning for the past 2.5 years really saved my bacon in terms, because they can be translated into other techniques and other subjects. And so having that help and the opportunity to even post those work in progress and get the feedback on likeness, and the whole community was so supportive. Although none of those were bold style work, they were there with me and supporting me and encouraging me, and that's just I don't think I could have done it without the community of Bold School being right there along with me. It was a long project.
Wow, that's so remarkable. Good for you that you did it. You accomplished it. You're on the other side. Do you have any tips that you would give to artists who are facing a big challenge? Someone who's taking on that big commission or looking to make that step into business in a big way. Do you have any tips of just like what you'd say for them making it through that challenge as an artist?
One day at a time. And if it's a multiple portrait, one portrait at a time, you just focus on the next task, the next layer of paint. And, over time, things will move along. But it can be very overwhelming if you look at an entire project and say, oh my goodness, how am I going to accomplish this? And you really have to break it down into smaller chunks, manageable steps, and you just focus on that one step and then go on to the next.
That's such wise words for all aspects of life, not just art, but just one day at a time, manageable steps. One day at a time, manageable steps. And so through all of these manageable steps, Elle, you've made such incredible progress. Did you ever foresee, like when you started, did you set your sights high and know you wanted to go all the way pro gallery? Did you have that? At what point in this journey did you catch a glimpse of what you could become and then begin to take the steps to make it happen?
No, No, it's all serendipity, or fate,
Accidental artist.
or yeah, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
I started. You start somewhere, and then you sort of follow along. I keep my eyes and my heart open to opportunities. I maybe I should say no more often, but I don't, which is gets me in trouble sometimes.
Yeah, me too.
Right?
Yeah.
No, I mean, one of the big things for me late last year was the journaling and the daily pages. Oh my goodness. So many ideas came out of that. And I've got to say, I'm not doing the daily pages anymore. But when I was thinking through the process of opening that gallery and that studio, I was journaling every single day. And the number of things that came up to my mind during that time through that exercise was priceless. Yeah, so definitely that was a huge moment for me.
Yeah, I know that for me in my just life, personal life, but especially as a creative, journaling is key for me. I always, even when I mentor or teach, I always use the journal and come back to the journal, getting people to write their feelings. And so that really sparks an interest for me, that a lot of what is happening in your life could have been birthed out of just journaling and getting your dreams out, your thoughts out on those morning pages. So that's really cool, that to make that connection there, because like if you didn't start with the dream and you didn't know how far you were going to go, but somewhere in the middle there you started to dream and journal, and then look where you are today. That's a really neat part of the story, Elle. Yeah, so in closing of today's podcast, do you have anything that you'd like to share with the Bold School community? Any words of encouragement or thoughts that have been on your heart or mind?
I think that, and I think I started with that. I don't know how to draw. I still don't know how to draw. And I think that a lot of people, when they see my portraits, they say, wow, you can really draw people. And I have to laugh because I cannot draw. But Bold School teaches you techniques, gives you tools, and it's worth a try. I think that even if you're not sure, just try it, because you never know. You just never know. If I hadn't tried, I wouldn't be where I'm at today, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So Bold School gives you the tools and the resources, but also the mentorship. And so within the school, we not only have the classes, but we have a community with mentorship that will help to grow you into a wholehearted and skilled artist, which Elle is one of the artists who has come up and grown up in Bold School. And so
Totally.
it's just such an honor and privilege to talk to you and get a glimpse into your story and put more of a face to the name, because I see you commenting and being part of the community all the time. And now I've gotten to talk to you and share you with our community in a whole new way here on the Bold Artist podcast. So thank you so much for being willing to step once again out of your comfort zone and come on the podcast and tell us some more about your life. Thank you, Elle.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a tremendous honor. And thank you.
You're so welcome, and best wishes for your gallery and your community. Your little borough of New Jersey is just about to find out how amazing you and art, how amazing it is. And I know that if we check in with you in a year, it's going to be a whole new story of growth and some amazing outcomes. So I can't wait to follow up.
Thank you so much.
Until next time, keep creating.